He was a quiet boy, lost in the pages of his worn-out books. His world was filled with the adventures and dreams that lived within those pages. Every day, he would retreat to his favorite corner, a small nook by the window, where the light filtered through the leaves outside, casting a gentle glow on his face. The stories he read were his escape, his solace from the bustling world around him. He found comfort in the characters, in their journeys, and in the lessons they learned. Each book was a new friend, a new adventure waiting to be explored. She, a burst of sunshine, laughter dancing on her lips. Her presence was like a warm summer day, bright and full of life. She had a way of making everyone around her feel special. Her laughter infectious, her smile radiant. She was the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking into it. Her friends adored her, and she was always surrounded by a group of people who were drawn to her vibrant energy. She lived in the moment, embracing life with open arms and a heart full of joy. They were classmates, sharing space in the crowded corridors of their school, yet worlds apart. In the hustle and bustle of the school day, their paths would cross, but they never truly connected. He would see her laughing with her friends, her eyes sparkling with joy, while he remained in the background, a silent observer. The school was a maze of hallways and classrooms, a place where hundreds of lives intersected. But for him, it was just another backdrop to his solitary existence. He knew her name, her favorite color, the way her nose crinkled when she laughed. He had memorized the little details that made her unique, the things that others might overlook. He admired her from afar, his heart swelling with unspoken affection. He noticed the way she would tuck her hair behind her ear when she was deep in thought, the way her eyes would light up when she talked about something she loved. To him, she was a mystery, a beautiful enigma that he longed to understand. He noticed the way sunlight seemed to follow her, painting her in golden hues. It was as if the universe itself conspired to highlight her beauty, to make her stand out even more. She seemed to glow with an inner light, a radiance that was impossible to ignore. He would watch her from his quiet corner, captivated by the way she moved, the way she seemed to bring light and warmth wherever she went. She was like a living, breathing work of art, and he was her most devoted admirer. He, on the other hand, was just another face in the crowd, invisible, ordinary. He moved through the school like a shadow, unnoticed and unremarkable. He was the kind of person who could disappear into a crowd without a trace, blending in with the background. His presence was quiet, almost ghostly, and he preferred it that way. He found comfort in his anonymity, in the solitude that came with being unseen. It allowed him to observe, to dream, and to imagine a world where he could be more than just a silent spectator. He watched her from afar, his heart a drum against his ribs every time their eyes met. Those fleeting moments when their gazes would lock were like tiny sparks of electricity, jolting him out of his quiet reverie. He would feel a rush of emotions, a mix of excitement and fear, hope and despair. He longed to bridge the gap between them, to find the courage to speak to her, to share his thoughts and feelings. But every time he tried, his words would fail him, and he would retreat back into his shell, his heart heavy with unspoken words. He never dared to approach, his courage dissolving into a puddle of self-doubt. The fear of rejection, of making a fool of himself, held him back. He would rehearse conversations in his mind, imagining all the things he wanted to say, but when the moment came, he would freeze. His shyness was a barrier, a wall that kept him from reaching out. And so he remained in the background, a silent admirer, his feelings hidden away like the stories in his beloved books. His world revolved around her, every thought, every stolen glance. He would often find himself lost in daydreams, imagining conversations that never happened, and moments that only existed in his mind. Each glance was a story, a silent narrative that played out between them. He wondered if she felt the same, if her heart skipped a beat when their eyes met, just as his did. The language of glances was their secret, a code that only they could decipher. It was in these fleeting moments that he felt truly connected to her, as if their souls were communicating in a way words could never capture. He found solace in their silent exchanges, their eyes speaking a language only they understood. It was a dance of emotions, a delicate balance of hope and fear, joy and longing. Each look was a promise, a whisper of what could be. In a world full of noise, their glances were a quiet refuge, a place where they could be themselves without the need for words. He cherished these moments, holding onto them like precious gems, each one a testament to the unspoken bond they shared. In the crowded hallways, their eyes would meet across a sea of faces. It was as if time stood still, and for a brief moment, they were the only two people in the world. The chaos around them faded into the background, leaving just the two of them, connected by a single glance. He lived for these moments, the brief seconds when their eyes locked and everything else disappeared. It was in these stolen glances that he found his courage, his strength to face the world. Her gaze, a spark that ignited a fire in his soul. It was a look that spoke of possibilities, of dreams yet to be realized. He could see the future in her eyes, a future where they were together, sharing their lives and their dreams. Her eyes were a window to her soul, revealing a depth of emotion that words could never express. He felt a warmth spread through him every time she looked his way, a warmth that gave him hope and filled him with a sense of purpose. He memorized every detail of her face, the curve of her smile, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners when she laughed. Each feature was etched into his memory, a permanent reminder of the girl who had captured his heart. He loved the way her smile could light up a room, the way her laughter could chase away his darkest thoughts. She was his muse, his inspiration, the one who made him believe in the beauty of life. Every glance, every smile, was a gift, a moment to be treasured. He found poetry in her every move, her laughter echoing in the chambers of his heart long after it faded. She moved with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly, a fluidity that mesmerized him. Her laughter was a melody, a song that played on repeat in his mind. He would watch her from a distance, captivated by her presence, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. She was his anchor, the one who kept him grounded in a world that often felt overwhelming. He cherished these moments, these silent conversations that spoke volumes. They were moments of pure connection, where words were unnecessary and their souls could communicate freely. It was in these silent exchanges that he found his true self, the part of him that was brave and hopeful. He knew that these moments were fleeting, but he held on to them with all his might, knowing that they were the foundation of something beautiful. The language of glances was their secret, a bond that would forever tie them together. Their days were punctuated by these stolen moments. In the midst of their busy lives, these fleeting instances became their sanctuary, a world where time seemed to stand still, allowing them to savor the simplicity of being together. A shared smile across the library. It was more than just a smile, it was a silent conversation, a promise of understanding and companionship. In that brief exchange, they communicated volumes, their eyes speaking the words their lips couldn't. A brush of hands while reaching for the same book. That accidental touch sent a shiver down their spines, a reminder of their unspoken connection. It was in these small gestures that they found the essence of their bond, a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. Trivial encounters for most, but for him, treasures to be stored in the deepest corners of his heart. Each moment, no matter how insignificant it seemed to others, was a precious memory he cherished. He would replay these moments in his mind, finding solace in their simplicity. He found joy in the ordinary, their paths intersecting in the mundane routines of school life. The briefest of glances in the hallway, a shared laugh during lunch, these were the moments that made his heart race. In the chaos of school, they found their own rhythm, a dance only they understood. The way she effortlessly commanded attention in class, her voice filled with passion as she spoke. He admired her confidence, the way she could captivate an audience with her words. It was in these moments that he saw her true self, a glimpse into the person she was becoming. He, content to be an observer, his heart swelling with unspoken admiration. He watched her from afar, his feelings growing with each passing day. Though he never voiced his emotions, they were evident in his every action, in the way he looked at her, in the way he cherished their moments together. Each encounter, a brushstroke painting a masterpiece of emotions within him. These moments, though fleeting, were the foundation of his dreams and hopes. They were the colors that painted his world, the melodies that played in his heart. In these stolen moments, he found his greatest treasures. He longed to tell her, to confess the symphony of emotions she stirred within him, but the words remained trapped, imprisoned by the fear of rejection. He built walls of silence, his heart a prisoner of his own making. Every time he worked up the courage, his resolve crumbled. He saw the way she laughed with other boys, the ease with which she interacted with them. It shattered his fragile confidence, reminding him of his own perceived inadequacies. Section 5. Fear's grip. Fear, a relentless tormentor, whispered doubts into his ears. What if she didn't feel the same? What if his confession shattered the fragile equilibrium of their unspoken connection? He couldn't bear the thought of losing her, even if it meant keeping her at a distance. So he chose silence, a shield to protect his vulnerable heart. He convinced himself that some loves were not meant to be spoken, that their beauty lay in their unspoken longing. He sought solace in his fantasies, where his words flowed freely, and she reciprocated his affections. Section 6. Dreams of what if. His dreams became his sanctuary. He dreamt of walking hand in hand with her, sharing secrets under a starlit sky. He imagined her laughter at his jokes, the warmth of her hand in his. He painted elaborate scenarios in his mind, each one a bittersweet escape from the reality of his silent love. But dreams, like bubbles, inevitably burst, leaving behind a residue of longing and despair. He woke up each morning to the harsh reality of his unspoken feelings, the weight of his silence pressing down on him. Section 7. The comfort in silence. Despite the ache in his heart, he found a strange comfort in his silent love. It was his secret, a treasure he held close. He wrote her poems in his worn-out notebook, pouring his soul onto the pages. Each word, an unspoken confession, a testament to the depth of his emotions. He found solace in observing her from afar, her happiness becoming his own. He convinced himself that as long as she was happy, it didn't matter if she never knew the depth of his feelings. Section 8. Growth in the shadows. Unbeknownst to him, his silent love became a catalyst for his own growth. It taught him the language of emotions, the nuances of unspoken connections. He became more observant, more empathetic, his heart expanding to accommodate the vastness of his love. He channeled his emotions into his passions, his writing becoming a reflection of his unspoken desires. He learned to find beauty in the ordinary, to appreciate the fleeting moments of joy life offered. Section 9. A love everlasting. Years later, long after their paths had diverged, the memory of her remained etched in the tapestry of his heart. His silent love, a bittersweet symphony that shaped his youth, taught him the profound nature of unspoken emotions. It remained a reminder that sometimes the most profound love stories are written in the language of silence, their beauty echoing through the corridors of time. And though he never uttered the words, a part of him would always love her, the girl who taught him the poignant beauty of silent love.